I didn't want to use the Atomos because it was ugly. I mean, look at it. It's not exactly one of the most prettiest secondary weapons in Warframe. Back then, I was using the Lex Prime, which sounded amazing, looked amazing. I didn't want to try this ugly thing. But my god, when I switched from the Lex Prime to the Atomos, the difference was humongous. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 5 secondary weapon, the Atomos. I'm gonna have a cheap build, something new player friendly that most tenors should be able to build. But of course, we also got the souped up setup with Prime mods, Galvanized mods, a Riven, Arcanes, going to Steel Path. Essentially, the works. That said though, please bear in mind that my building guides usually take a more new player friendly tone. I'm gonna be taking my time and explaining whatever I feel is necessary for newer tenor. So in case you're a veteran and you already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Atomos. Let's begin by checking out how the weapon handles without any mods equipped, and for that, just a couple of our usual free shots. The Atomos is a beam secondary weapon with a limited range of only 15 meters, and 15 meters is roughly this. Have a look. Now you see, when I make contact with the beam, it's going to be chaining to 3 additional enemies, which is fantastic. It's AoE in a sense, but not true AoE. Also, you should know that with each and every single jump, you're gonna be getting 50% less damage, so do bear that one in mind. Punch from the weapon does not mean you're gonna be getting additional chains to the beam. Now, one more thing, it has one usability issue, one big usability issue, and that is ammo, unfortunately. This one guzzles ammo like nobody's business. But on the plus side, being a beam weapon, per each and every single ammo, you're going to be getting 2 damage instances on your target, so plenty of status effects. It's easy to aim, it's a thick boy, it has no recoil, so outside of the ammo, it's pretty good. And the reload, not perfect at 2 seconds, but not exactly long either, that's what she's... Anyway, let's jump into stats to see exactly what we're dealing with. We got a mod capacity of 60 out of 60. Now, if you're newer to Warframe, you just build your Atomos, it's gonna come with 30 out of 30. This is normal for 99% of the weapons, 98.6 actually. Jump into actions. This button, yes, it's your friend. Plug in the Auto Catalyst to double your mod capacity. Is it worth it on the Atomos? It's pretty simple. If you're a newer player, up until MR 789, something of the sort, it's still definitely worth building the Atomos. It's gonna be your trusty ally and all whatnot. But if you're higher in MR, there are other options, such as, look at the cards right now. Accuracy, you don't care. It's a beam weapon and chains to additional targets. And yes, you should go for hit shots because this one has a base critical chance of 15% with a multiplier of 1.7. Let's be completely honest here. The critical stats on this one, not amazing, but it's still worth building crit on the Atomo, simply because it's a different multiplier. Magazine of 70 with a fire rate of 8, which is fantastic. Noise alarming, sadly, it would have been cool if it would have been silent, but there you go, beggars can't be choosy. Reload of 2 seconds, as mentioned before. Riven Dispo right smack in the middle at 3 out of 5, which means Riven mods are worth it for the weapon. Again, if you're newer to Warframe, if you're Mastery Rank 8 and you just unlock Rivens, don't stress yourself over getting Rivens, okay? They're not 100% needed. Yes, they can make things better, but save it for the end game. Trigger held, so it's easy to use. Status chance 21%, and the damage by default is heat. When you have a weapon with an elemental damage on it, you treat it as a very last mod, like you would have a mod down here with heat. When it comes to the elemental combinations that are from top left to the bottom right, 2 by 2 all the time. Now, you might be intimidated by my Forma count right here, 8 Forma. You don't need 8 Forma. For the build I'm recommending you can get away with something like 3. By default, the Atomos comes with 1 polarity, and that is a Vazarin polarity. What can you use in that one? Well, Galvanized Shot. If you have it, definitely it's gonna be a best in slot. And yes, my friends, I fully tested Galvanized Shot is fully functional on the Atomos. Weapon Excellence slot. Yes, you should definitely unlock this one now. Things have changed, and now in the Excellence slot, we can put plus range. In the case of secondary weapon, the best in slot mod is gonna be Ruinous Extension with plus 8 beam length. There's no damage drop off when it comes to beam weapons, and 15 with 8, you're gonna be getting yourself 23 meters. I know it doesn't say meters, but it's meters, so there you go. Alternatively, if you're cool with the 15 meter base, then pistol ammo mutation is gonna be your friend, because again, this one guzzles ammo like nobody's business, and it will have to be addressed. As for arcanes, the discussion as always pretty simple in this case. A secondary deadhead. go for headshots. Use this one. Wait, you're gonna be using your melee as well? Well, in that case, use secondary dexterity. Merciless is more for when you kill targets under the effects of procs. For example, heat procs, electricity procs, slash procs, whatever procs, because it's on kill. You get it? This one, Deadhead, to get the benefit, you're gonna need a headshot kill. In the case of the Atomos, the best in slot is gonna be Deadhead. Now let's have a look at a standard build. Damage with Hornet Strike, multi-shot with Battle Diffusion, as well as Lethal Torrent, which also adds a little bit of fire rate. We got critical chance and critical damage through the use of Creeping Bullseye and Target Cracker. We're gonna pause for a second right here. If you don't have corrupted mods, you need to get yourself some. Some of the best mods in the game are corrupted, such as Creeping Bullseye. They offer you a whole lot of something, but take a little bit of something away. In the case of Creeping Bullseye, you need to have it for several builds, so get to farming. You don't know how to farm corrupted mods? Got your back. Link the cards right now. Stunning speed is an option slot, 40% reload speed and 40% status chest. Honestly, instead of this, you can put whatever you want on the weapon. It's not really all that relevant. In this case, we got Corrosive with Pistol Pestilence and Jolt. You might not have Jolt. Jolt is obtained from Battleketeer. If you don't know who Battleketeer is, yes, you saw this one coming, right? Link the cards right now. It can only be obtained from Battleketeer. Let's say, hey man, I don't have this one, okay? And I can't be asked to get Convulsion. Okay, 90% electricity, max it, it's not a whole lot of endo. If you don't have a whole lot of endo, leave 2 from the top from Hornet Strike, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. Alright my friends, I do love myself some reload speed. Honestly, when it comes to actual gameplay and enjoying the weapon, having that extra little bit of reload speed does matter a whole lot. Now, these are level 120. You're not gonna see these except in Sortie Free if there's like a survival or a defense or something that drags on for a long while. Honestly, this is way above normal content in Warframe, and it's way under something like Steel Path endurance runs, but as you can see, the Atomos is fully capable of clearing house, no problem whatsoever. Do not overestimate the power of that AoE, because it loses about 50% of the damage with each and every single jump. It's not all that powerful, but it does apply a whole lot of statuses to your target. As you can see, my friends, we make a barbecue out of those corrupted heavy goons with a simple, standard, ordinary, everyday build. Now that's one way you can go about it, and that kind of concludes the new player portion to the game. Again, stunning speed is optional. Let's say you want to do something else with this one. You can make, for example, another elemental combo on the weapon. You can add a little bit of cold. Right, you get yourself some Ice Storm or Frostbite, something like that, but then you're going to be getting careful how you arrange it. Remember, top left, bottom right, boom. Now I got Blast and Corrosive. Blast in Warframe is still the ugly sister. Honestly, most people still don't want Blast on the weapon simply because it is hella annoying. But here's something that you can do. You can give up on Jolt and make on the weapon Vital and Heat. Vital and Heat. And with Vital and Heat, that means that your Heat procs are going to be doing more because of Vital. And again, in this slot, you can put mostly whatever, even something like more flat damage with Magnum Force. This, again, is one of those corrupted mods. Lethal Torrent, if this seems weird to you, you don't have it yet, you get this one from Nightmare Missions. And Nightmare Missions are a nightmare in name only, so head on over to the star chart and get yourself some Nightmare mods. There are a couple which you really need. The next part is for more experienced players that already have basically all of the mods in the game, or most of the mods in the game. Of course, we're gonna amp everything up with Prime stuff. Prime Pistol Gambit and Prime Target Cracker. Notice the difference, my dear aspiring Tenno. Target Cracker, normal version, 60%, Prime, 110. Now, do take note, not all differences between Prime and normal mods are this big, but this one is big. Unfortunately, critical damage for secondary weapon is a little bit on the low side. The other option is Sharpened Bullets, which will offer you 75% with that condition on kill and while aiming for 9 seconds instead of the normal 60. You can pump it up a bit more for the standard build with something like this. As before, we got 260 mods for being corrosive, so we got corrosive heat, we got galvanized diffusion. Instead of the normal version, we kept lethal torrent, but instead of this one, if you're going super high level content, I'm talking about level 150 and over, drop this one and go for a faction mod. Yes, I think it's expel for go for expel on instead of lethal torrent. There you go, I said it. Galvanized shot, because it does work, and we got a Riven. This is a very basic Riven. You get yourself your damage and multi-shot. You can go for critical chance as well, even though the base is not all that high. It's not gonna be fantastic, but again, this is not a really true endgame weapon. And again, secondary Deadhead with Ruinous Extension on the same corrupted heavy goons as before, just so you can see the difference. Now keep in mind, since I don't have that much flat damage well, actually I do because of the Riven. With galvanized setups, okay, you're gonna have to get yourself at least a kill before they kind of get their power and are in full swing. Take a look at the difference. the more stacks, oh my god, the barbecue. Absolutely fantastic. A bit too well done for my taste, but there you go. Beggars can't be choosy. One more time, but a bit more stacks. And yes, my friends, do aim for the head. With a 23-meter range, you should really have no problem in basically annihilating whatever stands before you. The weapon basically does all of the work. It chains to additional enemies. It doesn't need to be aimed that well because, you know, the beam is not that thin. It's a thick boy, sorta. So just aim slightly above enemies' heads. Well, that's all well and good for a showcase in the simulacrum, but how does this one actually perform in Steel Path? Well, let's have a look. Level 130-ish, corrupted in the void, and the Atomos is gonna be able to melt them with no issue whatsoever. I need more enemies. Now I saw the vital procs there on that target. I'm using the Panzer Vulpophyla. That's a bit of a tip for you guys. Use the Panzer Vulpophyla, get vital on your targets, then you got vital, corrosive, and heat. What more can you want for? I'll tell you what you could want for more ammo. This is the issue when it comes to missions such as this one. You're gonna be running out of ammo from time to time. It's nothing too serious. You can drop a pad, or if you don't like dropping pads for whatever reason, you can simply mod the weapon. Instead of the extended range in your excellent slot, you can mod it for a pistol ammo mutation, and that should solve most ammo issues. Now, not all of them. It really will depend on how high will you go with fire rate, but as you can see, the weapon absolutely melts, and honestly, it's a joy to use. It's one of the Tenno childhood weapons of mine, so I do love the Atomos. Oh, one last thing that I did forget to mention when we were talking about the arcanes. While secondary merciless might not be ideal for the Atomos for obvious reasons, it does give you an additional 100% maximum ammo, which in the case of the Atomos definitely comes in handy. Now let me show you what this one can do with Harrow. Since the weapon doesn't have a fantastic base critical chance, what we can do is give it crit with Lord Harrow. When it comes to Warframe buffs, make sure you have corrosive projection when dealing with heavily armored targets. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not 100% mandatory. If your build calls for, I don't know, sprint boost, physique, or whatever else, simply use the aura of your choosing. When it comes to arcanes, you do have a couple of options. Arcane Avenger, especially if you're not using Harrow, even though we are. 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. You might say, hey, you get everything you need from Harrow, but do bear in mind that you're getting 200% from Harrow on headshot and 50% on body shot. Do you headshot all the time or not? That, and also there are an infinite number of critical tiers in Warframe. You didn't know that? Well, look at the cards right now for some more clarification on critical chance and critical multipliers. Second arcane, honestly, this one should be your Warframe arcane, your Avenger, your Armor, or your Grace, whatever else you use to make your build work. But you can go for flat damage like so on headshot, 100% chance for 300% damage to secondary weapons for 18 seconds. This one is called Precision. Both can be obtained from the third Eidolon down on Cetus. Now, when it comes to fire rate and secondary weapons, you can use something like Arcane Velocity. Take a look at this one. On critical hit, 90% chance, 120% fire rate, 2 pistols for 9 seconds. But honestly, this will simply cause more ammo issues. But it is going to be fun. Option is yours. Harrow's second ability will grant fire rate and reload speed, so that's not really needed. When it comes to Warframe buffs, or companion buffs, better said, I would recommend you go with the Panzer Vulpophyla, since this will be able to grant you some nice vital procs. Now, let's spawn in those corrupted heavy goons. We're gonna pump up the level to 165 on pause them so they can hit me and I can get my glorious, absolutely glorious buffs. We're gonna be using Harrow's 4th ability, Covenant. Such an amazing ability. Honestly, I love this one. It saves the entire team. Now, that doesn't mean you're ever gonna see any fangs, or at least I never do, but that's not the point. And Harrow's second ability, as mentioned before, is gonna grant you some reload speed and some fire rate. That's how you get your critical chance up. Look at that, damage prevented a whole lot. I get full buff from Harrow, and as before, you should definitely go for headshot. Take a look at that. Make sure you go for headshot to get yourself those orange and red numbers. Green. Beautiful, absolutely fantastic. Essentially, you're gonna be melting everything that stands before you. One more time, just because it's fun, let's see how fast can we actually clear this pack of corrupted heavy goons. 165. Well, as you can see, my friends, the weapon is clearly capable of my favorite magic trick of now you see him, now you don't. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section down below, if you guys want to suggest any particular type of content, like I would like to see this weapon build or that weapon build. If you're a new player coming into Warframe, I highly recommend this weapon. If you're a veteran, well, there are other more powerful options to this one. If you prefer this style of beam secondary weapon, have a look at my Tenant Cycron. Again, you got a link in the cards. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. And if you love the content, hey, consider supporting us via Patreon. Link in the cards right now. Until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.